Executive Chairman and co-founder of nChain, Stefan Matthews. Hi, Stefan.
Hi, Claire. Good to be back here in the Philippines.
Exactly. Welcome back. So you're back in the Philippines, and nChain has a lot of plans in the next couple of weeks. A lot of developments have happened as well. I've heard about the blockchain immersion program. Can you tell us about this?
Yeah, I was here 4 weeks ago for 2 weeks, and then I went back to Europe for 2 weeks. And it was during that period of time that this blockchain immersion program took shape. But in all honesty, it's nothing new. It's a name that we applied to a bundle of initiatives that have been in the pipeline for a number of months. And I've spoken about all of those previously, but just to sum up, we're right in the middle now of delivering training programs to DOST, Central Bank, DICT, and a couple of others that we've been in discussions around providing tutorials, training programs for their staff. It's a bundle of initiatives, probably numbering 6 or 8 in total. All of them are around transferring knowledge, training, upskilling, creating awareness and knowledge of blockchain technology, predominantly within government departments or government affiliated entities.
nChain is in talks with the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, as well as the DICT, DOST, like you mentioned. Aside from the academia and the schools and universities, what other programs or plans and initiatives are you planning to do with them aside from educating?
Yeah, well, each of those that you just mentioned are associated with development work. And I was lucky enough, before I came here 4 weeks ago, I spent 3 or 4 days in Slovenia at one of our development centres in Slovenia. And I sat down with the team there, and they gave me demonstrations of all the programs that they've been building for the Philippines. Now, some of these are sandbox solutions where we're doing proof of concepts on topics that are for next year's budget. Others are related to rollouts that are going to occur in December and January, February. Good example, SEC is targeted as a rollout in December. So that, what I saw demonstrated to me in Slovenia was a fairly advanced solution for them. The work that we're doing with the provincial government in Bataan is another piece that I saw that is very well advanced in terms of development, both back end and front end. And there's a piece that we're doing for the central bank, which is a sandbox solution that they wanted to see later this year, that if we meet their requirements, they will press the button on a solution to be installed next year. So yeah, it's not just about education. The educational things are important. They're important for departments and working groups to understand so that they can plan and get their head around how to deploy blockchain solutions. But I sit here looking out the window here, we've got flooding, widespread flooding across this country. A drive that used to take me 2.5 to 3 hours from my home to here, where we're sitting tonight, now takes 8.5 to 9.5 hours. And my greatest fear is that the roads are going to be totally inaccessible if this rain continues. When I sat with President Marcos last year, not last year, it was earlier this year, it felt like last year.
Right.
When I sat with him in that private meeting at the Palace, and I mentioned about our Block Dojo incubation program, which is what we're talking about here at this function tonight, I asked him what sort of solutions he wanted to see come through. And coincidentally, he talked about agriculture. He also talked about supply chain, but he talked about weather management, disaster management. I'm sitting here tonight thinking, if we had an IoT-based implementation around weather and flood management, somewhere in the Philippines there would be a central control that would be sitting there looking at screens, and they would see centimetre by centimetre movements in floodwater across widespread areas. I mean, at the moment, you have to wait for someone to phone in or come back 2 or 3 days later after they've done an inspection. That's the amazing improvement that IoT and blockchain solutions will make in these sorts of situations. So we're living it right now.
Right.
And I hope that through the incubator, I hope that Philippine innovation delivers a couple of those solutions that the president has on his high priority list to see.
Right. It's interesting that he did mention that, because agriculture, huge industry, and there's so much potential in the Philippines that is not has reached its full capacity, and as well as Typhoon Egay that just passed, the massive destruction in agriculture, and as well as deaths and infrastructure destruction.
These weather conditions don't stop. We've got issues with global warming and changing weather patterns, and how closely that's correlated, it doesn't matter. There's always going to be typhoons. There's always going to be disaster issues, management, monitoring, recording in this country related to weather.
So what kind of solution can nChain bring to these sorts of situations?
What we can bring is a ton of patent-protected intellectual property, but put that aside for a minute. A solution to deal with weather would necessarily involve IoT, Internet of Things, sensors. So when you've got hundreds of thousands of sensors recording changes in water levels, rain levels, whatever, wind, you're going to have millions of data points coming through to the blockchain. So you need to filter those out to be the relevant ones. It needs to come through fast. It needs to be written to the blockchain fast, and it needs to be very, very cheap. So when you look at the technology that we work with, and it's more about BSV than what it is nChain when we're thinking of these solutions, BSV delivers exactly that. The ability to take high-frequency data points from IoT devices, write them to blockchain, and have them viewable and accessible through data scientists to be able to report on that data, and really, really, really cheap. We're talking about thousands or tens of thousands of data points for less than $1.
Great, that's awesome. Now, going back to what you said earlier, I don't know if I heard it correctly, but nChain is opening an office in Bataan?
Oh yeah, I walked through a space that Governor Garcia offered me for nChain on level 3 of the bunker. You're familiar with the bunker there. It's a beautiful space in terms of its size and orientation. It's perfect for what we need. The other thing that we will also sort out is the incorporation of our subsidiary here. Originally, we were going to go with a registered foreign office of a company in Switzerland, but now it's a full-blown, wholly owned subsidiary that we're setting up here. That will enable us to do the types of deals and contracts that we want to here in the Philippines, particularly with government.
You also mentioned in your talk earlier about a huge development with the nChain company and Calvin Air. Can you tell us more about that?
Huge. Huge is the word. It's enormously gratifying and pleasing for me that Calvin, both being a long-time personal friend of mine, but also such a strong advocate and supporter for the BSV blockchain community, and also in particular for nChain and what we stand for in terms of our development and research programs. No secret, everyone could have seen it online, but it was, I'm guessing 3 years ago, Calvin took a very small shareholding in the company. He's now decided to increase his investment in nChain, and we announced a 500 million Swiss franc deal, which through this program will see him take a majority share position. So that means more than 50% of the company. In addition, he has incorporated into that figure is a very significant licensing deal for all of our intellectual property that he can use in his companies to be able to build solutions on the BSV blockchain. He has incredible plans and foresight around what he wants to do around application development in the blockchain space, and he's going to be spinning up some special purpose vehicles to do that. And he'll be able to use unencumbered through the licensing agreement nChain intellectual property to be able to deliver solutions. And there's a tag-on bit on the end, which is a line of credit should the company need that, but it's not something that we're in a position where we're thinking that we're going to be drawing on that terribly quickly.
Okay. With Calvin being a huge, major shareholder of nChain now, what can we expect moving forward?
More innovation, speed. Calvin's been very open and vocal with us at board level and executive leadership level in the business that he wants to see more speed. He wants to see an increase in velocity around nChain's research program. So that's going to be our focus, and that's going to be one of the things he's going to want to see as a significant shareholder.
Great. And what are you looking forward to in the next couple of weeks, days that you're in the Philippines? What are you most looking forward to?
The rain stopping.
You're going to say something like that.
Look, what I'm really focused on now, apart from these programs we spoke about earlier, they're happening every day, 2 or 3 every day in different locations around training and learning, etc. But what I'm really looking forward to is the Block Dojo. This incubator completes the commitment I made last December to Governor and Congressman Garcia. We've delivered on our promise. That promise also delivers on the vision of President Marcos. So they're all little pieces that fit together, and they make up the total picture. And I'm really excited and really pleased and honoured to have been given the opportunity to work in the way that we have in the partnerships that we have here in the Philippines.
Amazing. So happy to hear about all the good news that nChain has, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Bitcoin mining, Bitcoin wallet, blockchain, stablecoins, Metanet, the evolution of money. Everybody is talking about Bitcoin today, but what exactly is it? Learn the basics from experts. Learn what Bitcoin is, how it works, and why it matters. Blockchain 101, your ultimate guide to the fundamentals of blockchain.